Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world and how's things where you are? Hope everything is good. Yesterday, we talked about Halloween in the 80s, and I talked a bit about the candy scares, and I forgot that there was a name for it, but I think Jonathan pointed it out with some interesting discussion on yesterday's video about the Satanic Panic, and that's what it was called, or that's what it's called now. I don't know if that's what it was called then, but it was the Satanic Panic, and I remember it vividly because, as a child who was into gaming, into video games, into computers, I wanted to play D&D with my friends. I wanted to I wanted to watch like The Simpsons. I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons because it was satanic. Um, and the trick or treating thing was, this cult was going to steal your blonde hair, blue eyed children and sacrifice them or something. I don't know. There was this whole mess, and I guess because when I mentioned yesterday, I didn't know how that information propagated. It was through the church, and that's very much true. It was something that was spread through the churches, like, oh my God, your kids are all going to die. And so I grew up, going to church. I went to church weekly. I was in a pretty large Baptist church. When I was a kid, the congregation was hundreds. I mean, it was big, and grew up with a lot of friends from there. But man, this had a point. I was going somewhere with that story. I remember being completely like whatever then. Like I can remember being a kid, like 8 years old, being told that they're gonna steal you, and there was no fear from me. Like I was not fearful at all of this supposed takeover of this satanic cult takeover of the world. Did not. It wasn't even on my mind. But I remember my parents, my mom specifically, being very, very adamant that this was happening for real and apprehensive about, all of these warning signs of if your child's playing D&D, then, they're going to join this cult. And if you can find it, I haven't actually done any research to see if it's available. I have it on DVD, I believe. There was a movie from the 80s or maybe even the late 70s called Mazes and Monsters. And it is totally worth watching. It is a hilarious movie about a group of kids that start playing mazes and monsters, totally not Dungeons and Dragons, in a cave. And one of them takes it a little too seriously and starts dressing in character, and he ends up killing somebody. And so that a lot of the Satanic Panic came from that sort of stuff. Hilarious movie. You should totally go watch it. It's fun. It might even give you a little bit of insight into what was going on then versus the world that we live in now, where anybody can fact check whatever like very quickly. The funny part is, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, I don't remember, is anybody, we all have the ability to fact check everything, and yet very few people do it. It's still very easy to just spread as much disinformation as you want by saying something like, "Oh, did you guys hear that in the one town over, there was a guy who was trying to start a cult, and he ended up, stealing some kids and, feeding them rat poison." And that could spread, and people would be like, "Oh man, did you guys?" And you would be amazed at how easy people believe that shit, and how simple it would be to fact check it and go, "No, that never happened." Oh well, that's the government trying to hide it. They don't put it on the internet. That's not how things work anymore, people. But I work at a job. So I'm a software developer. And I jokingly tell people that Google does 90% of my work. And it's a joke, but it's true. Like, I am a professional researcher. As a programmer, there's only so much knowledge I can hold about how to program. And it changes. It changes, I will work on something and go, oh yeah, I'm really into this and this is working great. And then I finish that section and I start working on another thing. And when I go back to revisit what I had previously done, I've already forgotten how I did all of that. And I have to relearn it because my brain is now full of all of the new thing information. And so I Google a lot for my job, and I'm a professional researcher. Half of the job of being any IT job is knowing how to type a search query into Google that will return results. But it seems like the vast majority of people still don't understand how it works and don't fact check anything. So, I had a point to this story 5 minutes ago. I don't remember what that point is. I just remember being, as a child, not even remotely, I didn't feel even remotely threatened by the satanic panic the way that parents did. Yeah. Funny how that works. You would think that the children would be the first ones to believe it. And maybe my peers did. I don't know. I've never asked them. Maybe they believed it too. I never did. I was always just like, whatever. Like, okay, Mom. And just go about my day. But the other funny part of that is this whole like satanic cult was going to steal your children. But apparently they only did that on Halloween night. Like any other evening, I could be out with my friends doing whatever I felt like doing. There was no cell phones. My parents had no clue where I was at any given time. That wasn't a big deal. Whatever. The 80s were fun. If you have specific questions that you want to know about the 80s, let me know in the comments. I appreciate hearing from you. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing and being amazing friends and being wonderful, wonderful people. I appreciate you, and I will see you on Monday. Alexa, tell me a random fact.
Here's a fact about black-backed jackals. The black-backed jackal is a monogamous and territorial animal, whose social organization greatly resembles that of the golden jackal.
The black-backed jackal. That's a fun one.